Hello everyone, welcome back to the series of tutorials on C++. I am Deepak Unyal, and in this tutorial I am going to discuss about overloading unary operators. So if you have seen my previous lecture, we discussed some concepts about operator overloading, and then after that we discussed overloading binary operators. So here now let's start with unary operator overloading. So here are also two ways. You can use non-static member function and it will have no arguments, or member function with one argument. So this one argument could be a reference to an object, or it could be object itself. So suppose we are going to overload this operator. This is unary operator. So we can use a member function to overload this. For that, you can define a class like this, class name, and then you will have a specifier, public specifier. After that, you need to write return type, operator keyword, which you have already done in binary overloading or overloading binary operator, then that symbol which you are going to overload here. And after writing complete prototype of the function, you can write const here, so that this function is not able to make any changes. You can also use a non-member function. So you have seen that when we are using member function, there is no parameter, but in case of non-member function, it will have one parameter, and this one parameter could be an object, or it could be a reference to an object. So when we are creating object, in this case we need a copy of the object, so side effects of the function are not applied to the original object. In case of reference, there will be no copy, right? So it is just a reference, and in this case all the side effects of this function are applied to the original object. So if you want to reflect the changes back in the original object, you can use the reference, or if you don't want to reflect the changes back in the original object, you can use this, right? So let us take example of this. We are overloading this operator here, and so for this you have to write return type of the function, then operator keyword, and after that you can write const and then class name, and this argument is showing that we are passing object as reference, and this is const. That means this reference is constant and will not allow any changes in the object. Now we'll try to overload unary prefix and postfix operators, and which operator we are trying to overload right now. So you can use these plus plus, both prefix and postfix, or you can also overload minus minus operators. So as of now I will try to overload this. You can write some programs on your own and overload minus minus operators. So first thing is, how compiler is going to distinguish between prefix and postfix. So you might say that when we are writing prefix, it will be plus plus a. Suppose a is a variable, and in case of postfix it will be a plus plus. It's easy to see this way, but when I am writing, or when you are writing operator overloading function, then it is difficult. So the thing to understand is, you are trying to overload this thing, right? There is no way to identify whether this is prefix or postfix, and this will be written like operator and then this symbol. So can you identify whether this is prefix or postfix? No, as of now there is no way, but we have to do something, that there are different signatures for prefix and postfix functions, right? So what I will do, I will take an example, and in that example what I am going to do, I will create a complex object. So complex is a class, c1 is an object, and I will add 1 to this object. So if it is 4 plus 5 I, Then if I am adding 1 to this thing, it will make it 5 plus 6i, right? So this is the output of this thing. So let's see how the compiler behaves in case of plus plus c1. So c1 is the object and we are doing plus plus c1. This means it is pre-incrementing the expression. So in this case, compiler will generate a call which is c1 dot operator, and after that it will do plus plus like this, and it is a member function call. You can see we are not passing anything here. And prototype for this operator function would be, we need to write complex. Its return type of this function, its name is operator plus plus, right? So this is the prototype. If this thing is implemented as a non-member function, so whenever compiler sees plus plus c1, it will generate a function call. So that function call should be operator plus plus. It is same which we have seen here, but after that it need one object, and that is c1. Clear? So prototype for this should be complex, because it will return an object of type complex, and then need to write operator plus plus, and this c1 is of complex type, so we need to write complex ampersand. You don't need to write c here. Okay, you can write, but that is not necessary. So now we have seen how can we implement this prefix operator. So what you have to do when you want to overload postfix operator, so just see it for plus plus. So the first question is how to distinguish. So for this, there is a convention that has been adopted. Whenever compiler will see c1 plus plus, it will generate a member function called c1 dot operator. It is similar to the prefix operator. So till now it is same as prefix, but then what we are going to do, we are going to pass some dummy value here. This is called dummy value. The 0 we are passing here is dummy value, right? And prototype for this member function call will be, we need to write complex, as this function is going to return a complex object. Then we need to write operator plus plus, and then prototype will have a parameter that is int. Clear? And why we are using this dummy value? This dummy value is used to distinguish between prefix and postfix increment operator function. So whenever you see this dummy value, that means we are talking about postfix operator. Similarly, if you want to implement postfix as non-member function, what you have to do? So whenever compiler sees it like this, it will generate a call, non-member function call, which will be operator plus plus, and then we need to pass one object and dummy value. So this thing is again dummy value, right? And what will be prototype for this function call? We need to write complex, because this is the type we are going to return. Then operator plus plus, and after that class type object ampersand, because we are passing this object as reference, and then int. So in case of postfix and prefix, you should understand that when we are talking about postfixing, it is returning object by value. So it means it is going to return a temp object that contains original value of the object before increment occurred, right? So if you are doing a plus plus and a has value 5, so after postfix its value should be 6, but it is going to return 5. So that's why I am saying that it will return a temp object that will contain this original value 5, right? And increment will occur after that. And when we are talking about prefix thing, in this case it is going to return object by reference. So in this case actual value is returned. So what is this actual value? This actual value is the new value that has been incremented. So plus plus a, and suppose a was 5 before, then this value should be 6, and in this case we are returning 6, not 5. So this is the difference between these two. So you should understand these two things. One more thing, this is a homework question for you. You should compare prefix and postfix in terms of performance and write your answer in the comments which one is better. So just try to look at this again, try to break this into multiple small statements and understand how these statements work. Okay, so this was the first question. Second thing, you can try understanding decrementing operator in prefix and postfix mode, and then you can tell me in the comment that how you are going to implement decrement operator and what will be the function calls. So you can just look at the increment operator and write your function call on the similar lines. All right. Okay, so I think this is enough for this lecture. What I will do in next lecture, I will try to implement prefix and postfix notation of increment operator using a class complex, where I will try to add one to the class, and then you can make it like if it is 4 plus 5i, and if you add 1 to this, it should be 5 plus 6i, right? But we'll implement this thing in postfix and prefix mode. So if you have any doubt or query regarding anything till now, you can write in the comments and I will try to respond back. So see you in the next video with some implementation of unary operator overloading. So see you in the next video. Till then, thank you so much.